It's time for Living Your Purpose, a motivational and inspirational podcast with Peter and Joyce Nielsen.
Hey everybody, welcome to Living Your Purpose podcast. I'm Peter Nielsen, and I can't believe we're in a new year, 2025, and it's January, mid-January, and most of us are going through this culture shock of forgetting on what we didn't accomplish last year and moving forward on what we can accomplish in 2025. So I hope that your Christmas, your Hanukkah, I hope that your holidays, your New Year, everything was amazing. And I hope that you're in good spirits and most importantly, that you're healthy. You know, I went with my family this past weekend to Northridge Church. Give a shout out to an amazing church pastor, Pastor Brad Powell. Been going there for over 20 years, and it's in Plymouth, Michigan. And it was interesting on what Brad was talking about, and he opened this new series, and he was talking about lemons versus lemonade. And when he started talking, I was like about to glaze over and just say, okay, this is kind of corny, and I get the analogy, but what's the punchline? And as he got into talking just for a few minutes, it opened up my spirit, my heart, and I want to share what has been on my heart for the last few days. Here we are in a new year, 2025, and we're all trying to get through the guilt and stop beating ourselves up on what we didn't do in 2024. And as we, for many of us, will put a dream board together or a whiteboard together, and we'll put our goals, our vision, a vision board for 2025, for even the first quarter. And a lot of times, you know, what do I always say? For the first 90 days on your New Year's resolutions, 90% of people will fail within the first 90 days. So when I heard this with my pastor, Brad Powell, it just, it cut me deep, and I wanted to share it with you. So many of us, we're looking for positivity, we're looking for love and light, and we want 2025 to be the best year ever. But for many of us, maybe I'm speaking to you right now, 2025 is come and your life is turned sideways. And we're not even 3 weeks into the new year, and already there's a lot of different stuff that's in your life. And that stuff, let's just call lemons. They're heavy. It's not what we want. I mean, they use the analogy, that person got a lemon of a car that they bought. A lemon isn't a good thing. A lemon is usually a bad thing, something that's not right. And for so many of us, we walk in with positivity, motivation, a vision for 2025. We're trying to speak life into ourselves, our family, our health, our occupation. And within a couple of days or within a couple of weeks, it goes sideways. Think about the people in California with the fires. There was one actor, I think it was James Wood, he said, one day there wasn't a cloud in the sky, and I was in my pool and seeing palm trees and playing with my granddaughter. And the next day, my life is turned inside out. This fire rips through and takes everything materialistically that I've had. The roof over my head, my cars, my Academy Award winnings, everything is gone. How are you? We all are basically dealt some lemons. How are you dealing with your lemons of 2025? And for many of you that follow me, that may follow me on social media, watch my TV show, listen to this podcast, whether it's on Spotify or iTunes, SoundCloud, or YouTube. It's how we respond to the lemons that will help us make lemonade or not. For years, for many of you that have followed me, you know that I've said all the growth is in the valley. In the valley, what's in the valley? Usually hardship, tragedy, loss, betrayal, pain, death, uncertainty, guilt, fear. So those are many lemons that are in that valley. But when I reflect and I think of where my most growth was, it wasn't on the mountaintops. As you can see behind me, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see there's a lot of trophies. Mr. America right over here, the World Cup here. I could go Mr. Universe here. And I could go on and on and on. But those were only minutes of celebration on the mountaintop, I call it. But all the sweat equity, all the pain, all the disappointment, all the hard training, that was in the valley. Those were lemons that I had this, as we all do, this thing called free will, that we can either decide that our life is going to be a bunch of lemons, or we're going to decide that those lessons, those lemons, that valley, we are going to grow. We're going to heal. We may even catapult to the next level and turn that into lemonade. And that's what I really wanted to just dig deep on today, is how many of us miss our calling? How many of us miss our purpose in life because we get so desensitized, jaded, angry, furious over the things that life throws us. And again, I'll use the analogy, throws us all these lemons. It's easy to blame God, to blame someone close to you, to not be happy, to speak death over yourself by saying, this sucks, God's terrible, I don't even believe in him anymore. But then there's another group of people that, I'll call it that X factor, that they recognize these invisible obstacles, they use it as rocket fuel to take them to heal, to take them to breakthrough, to take them to exclusivity of being the first to do something, to take them to the promised land of living a life that you're destined to live, a purpose-filled life. There's a big difference. You have the same amount of people, they bleed the same color red, but yet some people will, at the fire, crumble and get paralyzed, jaded, desensitized at that moment, and relive, take on the character, rewrite, and act out that same life chapter over and over and over again. Then there's this other group of people that are dealt all these lemons, that are in the valley, are exhausted, and they choose to believe again. They choose to believe in something more than self, a higher being I call God. If you want to be specific, I call Jesus. The people that then are at that fire choose to have that fire either catapult them over or through to truly make them everything they were born to be. They were destined to be. And those are the people that usually have the best testimonies, the best stories, succeed in life, in family, in business, in community, better than most. And what I want to dig into right now is, what's the difference? One saying they can, the other saying they can't. One saying, I'm afraid, the other saying, I surrender and I give it to you, God. One is saying, I lost. The other one is saying, this may be everything I've ever wanted to win. There's so much mindset here. There's so much deep within ourselves that will either speak life or death into what we choose. For many of you that know me, I constantly say happiness is a choice, not a chance. Every day that I get up in the morning and I have this gift called life, I'm filled with gratitude. I just tap on my wife, who's right to the left of me's foot, and I just whisper in her ear and say, I choose you. See, some of the best marriages are by choice, not chance. Some of the best marriages are when you choose to love your wife or husband even when they're unlovable. That's ingredients for you to truly grow, for you to sustain that focus, that drive, that determination. So as we go into this new year, 2025, are you in or you're out? Are you speaking life into your family and into your being? Or are you speaking death and darkness and fear into your health and family and occupation? We all have bad days. I mean, I could speak from experience. Some days, are just extremely tough. I question, why am I doing what I'm doing if I'm just getting these torpedoes sent my way? But all I know is when you soul search, and God would have never put those visions, those dreams in your heart if he didn't have a due date, if he didn't have a specific reason. So we're all dealt, as my dear pastor Brad Powell says, we're all dealt with lemons. But you have a choice. Are you going to beat yourself up because of all the lemons that life is throwing you, just the uppercuts that are just knocking you down and down and down? Or are you going to surrender, believe that you were created for a purpose, on purpose, to live a purposeful life? Then you look at it differently. You wear a different set of lens. You're experiencing it and navigating through it, knowing that it's just temporary. You know, there's so many philosophers that I've heard and motivate speakers, and a lot of times they'll say everything that happens to you, 80% on how you respond to that tragedy, to that celebration, to that event is going to determine how your life is going to play out. So as we go through this week, as we start racing to February of 2025, know that it's a fact, not a maybe, that this year you're going to be dealt some lemons. How you react to them, how your mind shift is going to navigate through that, how your belief system is going to surrender to that, how your will is going to catapult you from that, is going to determine how your 2025 is. I want to leave with this. I have, I'm going back to Michigan here. In Plymouth, Michigan, there's a place called Plymouth Apple Orchards. And Mary and Dave Emmett are the owners. Mary Emmett, going back probably over 12 years ago, well, more than that, probably more like 16, 17 years ago, she bought for Father's Day, she bought her husband Dave 10 personal training sessions from one of my health clubs. Well, he came in, he was an engineer, he smoked cigarettes every day, a pack or more, and he drank. He had his Manhattan or his martini every night, and we started training. And the deepness of this man, we can talk about anything. So first I was going to, he was coming to the gym, and then after about the third or fourth 10 personal sessions re-sign, he said, can you come to my house and show me what to do on my equipment? And I did, and we became really good friends. And I say all this, he taught me how to fly a helicopter. He was actually afraid of heights and afraid of swimming. I got him in my pool and tried to break that fear barrier, and he ended up not only losing a few pounds, but he ended up going into the Ironman triathlon and finished it. And in there, you gotta get in the water and swim for miles. He was afraid of flying, and he learned how to fly the helicopter, and then he bought a helicopter dealership. He taught me how to fly a helicopter. He taught me how to live, but he also taught me something else. Dave Emmett, going back maybe now 6 years ago, lost his life to brain cancer. And I remember that process. He was taken within 6 months. And I remember that process, and I remember getting a phone call. I remember exactly where I was. I remember what I was wearing. And there was a fork in the road. I was on a road in Michigan called, it was Sleeth. And I could have either went right or left. And I got this phone call from Dave Emmett's wife, And she said, "It's time. Can you be here?" And from where I was, Plymouth, Michigan was maybe like 30 minutes away. And I got there, and his family from all over the country were there. And it was almost like a celebration. And everybody was there. I mean, we actually took some amazing pictures of everybody around the bed, and Dave smiling. He was still coherent, but very, very, very weak. And I'm saying all this for this reason. Man, oh man, and some people that are listening or watching right now can relate to this. Dave Emmett, he was dealt not a lemon, but a bushel of lemons when he had inoperable brain cancer with no cure. And his success for living, because they weren't going to do surgery because of the proximity of the tumor, was months. I never experienced never, my whole life, from now until when I was born, anyone that taught me how he could be dealt a lemon. He was in the valley, and yet he taught me how not only to live, but how to die. Think about that. Most people, they're 60 years old, which nowadays is young. They're dealt with cancer, inoperable. They got everything to live for, and they know that they have a death wish. He could have easily got quiet, distant. He could have easily got angry at life, at God. He could have easily just been a nasty person those last few months. Instead, I've never seen someone so selfless, so lovable. He was the epitome of God's love and grace and mercy and light and peace, all while he was dealt this lemon. So what I'm really saying to each and every one of you, including, charity starts at home, including my own self. How are you dealing with your lemons? Are you dealing with it with light? And are you making the best and learning something from it and then moving on? Dave was so gracious to the second he took his last breath. He was talking to all of us, loving all of us. One of the last conversations was, he says, "Peter, I don't want to leave because I don't want to leave Mary alone, his wife. Can you watch over her? Can you make sure she's okay?" I went into the kitchen and I said to Mary, "Mary, you're going to need to give him permission to die, because he's holding on because he thinks that it's not going to be okay." She cried a good cry in the kitchen. She wiped her tears. She walked into the bedroom, and she said that she held his hands. They hugged, and she said, "Dave, it's okay. You're tired. It's okay. I'm going to be okay." And within a 5-minute conversation, everybody came in the room, and he died like 38 minutes later. What I'm saying to each and every one of you, including myself, is that we're all dealt with lemons, but we can truly experience lemonade. We could truly make the choice to make the best out of it, learn from it, move on, and just maybe sow into someone else on what you've learned. But I've never in my life saw someone that was dealt such tragedy, such darkness, such lemons. And for the remaining time that he was there, he was the best friend, most listened to. He wanted nothing but to tell everybody he loves them. Always smiling, never complaining. That's how I want to go. But that's also how I want to deal with lemons. A lot of times that's the way I do. But there are other times that I get upset. I may even get upset with God. Like, why now? Why me? Why is this happening? Have that big cry, but learn from it, get over it, and move forward from it. That's how you'll take the lemon and turn it into lemonade. It's an unnatural thing to do because for many of us, we want to collapse. We want to give up. But part of this process, this journey called life, is going through the valley, is experiencing the lemons. And it's what you do with them when you're in front of that fire that are going to determine how you're going to live your life. Is it going to be created with purpose, or are you going to just crumble and get paralyzed in that moment, become jaded, desensitized, and just walk to the sidelines and watch life pass you by? My hope, my prayer for each and every one of you is that you take whatever lemons that are thrown your way in 2025, learn from them, move on from them, get over them, and make some damn good lemonade. That's what my hope, that's what my prayer for each and every one of you is. So if you have any questions, you can go to peter@peternielsen.com. You can find us on social media at Peter and Nielsen. My website, if you want to take any of my courses, is trainwithpeter.com. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you, and for you to be listening if it's on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, or social media next week, the same time. God bless each and every one of you. I'm Peter Nielsen with Living Your Purpose podcast. Bye.